Ladies and gentlemen, the weather outside is getting chilly, and the games are heating up. We're here in October.
That's right, and we just passed the halfway point of the college football season, and today we'll be previewing top 25 games from Week 8 of the college football season.
I'm Seth Gardner.
And I'm Rob Slevon, and we apologize for our absence last week, but welcome back to the Timeout.
What would you do if you were me and didn't have shit? Look in the mirror now, feeling like
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so as usual, we're going to start off the episode by talking about the top 25 rankings and some movement in the top 25. LSU, the biggest jump as they go up to number 2, passing Clemson and Ohio State.
Yeah, they looked impressive against Florida, especially on offense. They really changed the game with their new spread offense there, kind of moving away from their traditional I formation. I really think Burrow fits well in that system, and I think they're going to be a tough team to beat in the SEC moving forward. Maybe give Alabama a run for their money. That's going to be a hell of a game coming up.
Oh, definitely.
In a couple weeks. Yeah.
Alabama and LSU, that's going to be
For
probably the game of the regular season if I had to bet.
Yeah.
And then Alabama holding that, or you're going to say something?
Well, I think, if anything, LSU, the only thing you could look at, maybe their defense struggling a little bit, but, I think I take away their offense more from that. I think they can control things on defense later down the road, but definitely impressive from LSU.
And no surprise, Alabama stays at number 1, but personally, I don't think Alabama should be ranked at number 1. I don't think they're the best team in college football right now. I think LSU and Ohio State are definitely the top 2.
Yep.
But maybe a little bit of bias here towards Alabama. What do you think?
Well, Alabama, they really haven't played anybody this season. I've been kind of worried with their defense as well at Alabama. Their defense has not been playing the best that I've seen them in the last 5 years. But, they still have Tua Tagovailoa, and that's all you need to win games. So they're still a team. And then let's talk about Clemson moving down a spot. Clemson coming off a win against Florida State, but, they haven't really played a team this year. So
not really much of a surprise. That game against North Carolina is really going to stick out in their schedule. Of course, only winning that by 1 point. That was a couple weeks ago that they won that game. But, it's just a turning point for Clemson as they lost a lot of momentum, and a lot of people are doubting them now, and, of course, the rankers are as well as they just keep moving down the rankings.
Yeah. And then why don't we talk about OSU off the bye week? We don't have to talk about them too much. But then Oklahoma coming off a win against Texas. I was impressed with their defense in that game.
Yeah, I was as well. And Jalen Hurts, of course, he continues to play well. Of course, the transfer from Alabama and moving back up to 5 after they moved down a couple weeks ago. Not really surprised me either. And then Wisconsin up to 6 with Jonathan Taylor. Of course, they came off the win as well last week.
Yeah, they got a win against Michigan State last week. Yeah. They looked impressive in that game, especially on defense.
38-0,
35-0.
35-0. Yeah, and interesting as well, as Ohio State beat them 31-14, Wisconsin shut them out. Maybe it's heating up a little bit. Yeah, that matchup in a couple weeks between Ohio State and Wisconsin. But we're talking about this week.
Another team from the Big Ten, we have Penn State coming off that win against Iowa.
Jumping up 3 spots, as well. Spots. And then, of course, Georgia down 7. That's the biggest trend in the top 10 so far.
Yeah.
This week, of course, coming off that loss to South Carolina in double overtime. And I'm going to be honest, there was a lot of chances for South Carolina to win that game outside of overtime.
Yeah.
But, kind of surprised is Georgia's been playing pretty well this year. Just a little road bump kind of bumped them down.
Yep. Maybe looking ahead to some bigger games down the road, which you can't do in college football. Yeah. And then why don't we talk about Notre Dame for a second? They came off a rivalry win against USC. Pretty impressive win there. It's always a tough game to play a rival.
It's always a good game between those two, especially no matter how good one team is or how bad another team is.
I've been impressed by the composure of Notre Dame. They're able to stay in this top 10. I'll be interested to see if they can maybe make a boost towards the end of the season. Still have a big game coming up against Michigan, so that's an opportunity for them there.
Definitely. And then looking out of the top 25, of course, or out of the top 10, the first team left out is Auburn. They didn't move up last week. And then Boise State stays equal at 14. Boise State being so high kind of is surprises a lot of people.
Yeah,
of course, they have not really had a tough schedule this year.
Yeah, a Boise State team kind of fills that place of where UCF was last year, as we know. I think they're really trying to get into a New Year's Six Bowl this year, so we'll see if they can make that push towards the end of the season.
Boise State is always a big force in the NCAA, and it kind of surprised me a little bit because outside of the Florida State game, they really haven't had any Power 5 opponents.
Well,
to my knowledge, at least.
At the end of the day, all it's about is winning games. So
That's true.
I mean, if you can win a game,
that's true.
Stay undefeated.
I'll give you that.
That's all you got to do. And then let's look down.
All right, Texas down 4.
Down 4.
They're at 15 coming off the loss to Oklahoma in a game that the scoreboard might have showed a different game, but it really wasn't that close.
No, it wasn't. They weren't really able to do much on offense, and as we know, their defense struggled a lot in that game. Texas is a team moving forward that definitely has to get it together on defense. If they want to make it anywhere or win another New Year's Six Bowl this year, as we know they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl last year, they're going to have to step it up. Looking at the offensive line needs to start blocking. The receivers need to start catching those balls to make it a little easier for the quarterback.
Definitely. And then down a little bit further, Minnesota 6-0 comes in unranked. Their first appearance in the top 25, and gosh, I don't even know when the last time they were ranked was.
Yeah, it's been a while. I believe last time they were ranked was when they played Ohio State, maybe 3 years ago, in that one chilly game.
Okay. That was more than 3 years ago.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
The point is, it's been a while for a Minnesota team that's in a Power 5 conference, and they've had a lot of chances to bump up.
You know, this is a Minnesota team where arguably you could take any team in the FBS and put them with their record, with their schedule, and they would probably be undefeated right now. They haven't really had a tough schedule, but at the end of the day, all it's about is winning games. So they've been able to do that. They're still in the place for making a run at that Big Ten championship, which I'm sure Minnesota fans would love to see. But, you know, we got Wisconsin and the Big Ten West, so it'll be tough for them to do that moving forward. And then another team jumping up, we have Missouri, a team that's 5-1.
Yeah, they're an unranked team bumping up. It's been a while for Missouri as well, coming into the top 25, and they've got a pretty good game this week. We'll preview that in a sec.
Yeah.
But back up to 21, Cincinnati coming off a win. They went up 4 more spots, of course.
Yeah.
Their only loss of the year coming to Ohio State in week 2, and then that big win against UCF kind of helped them out a lot in the rankings, definitely.
Yeah, Cincinnati trying to control the American Conference here, trying to get a championship in there, which they haven't been able to do in a while because, as we know, UCF was the powerhouse there. But if they can do that this season, that'd be
around, definitely.
Yeah, SMU, Cincinnati is kind of a...
And then rounded out, we have Iowa moving down again after their second straight loss. Of course, this one...
Yeah, tough game for them. Their offense really struggled these last 2 games against Michigan and Penn State, not really able to put points on the board, but I've been impressed with their defense. Their defense has been able to shut down a Penn State offense that's been really impressive so far, but I think they can get some wins moving forward as their schedule is going to get a little bit easier. So.
And then, of course, Appalachian State, undefeated, coming into the top 25 for the first time in a while.
It's been a while
since
we've seen
definitely.
The Mountaineers this high.
And then rounding it out, the Washington Cougars,
getting back into the top 25 after some solid wins in the Pac-12, and they have a big game against Oregon this week, so we'll see if they can sustain that top 25 spot.
Indeed they do, and now we're going to jump into previewing the games. Of course, that's the big segment of the day. We're going to start off. The Friday game for this week is number 4 Ohio State, who is undefeated at the moment, coming off a bye week, traveling to Northwestern, who is 1-4 so far on the season. This game has been moved to Big Ten Network due to scheduling conflicts with the National League Championship in baseball. This game's at 8:30 on Big Ten Network. Ohio State is 27.5-point favorites to win this game.
Yeah, I think they're rightfully favored at 27.5. I think the Buckeyes, their offense has really looked impressive so far this season, and Northwestern, a team where their offense has not looked impressive at all, not really able to put points on the board. But I think if Northwestern can create a grinded-out kind of game, they could stick around in this one.
And they've been known for that so far this year, of course. Close games against Wisconsin and Michigan State.
Yeah.
But their only win in the year coming against UNLV, which was back in week 2, I believe. And it was a close one as well. So Northwestern's a team that likes to keep the game close throughout the whole game. No matter if they're way better than you or way worse than you, they're always going to keep it close. But Ohio State, I think the biggest key in this game is not looking ahead too much. Of course, they've got a couple big ones coming up in the schedule. Of course, number 6 Wisconsin is the biggest flash to come to mind with Ohio State's schedule. But they can't underestimate Northwestern's ability in this game, as they're on the road in a night game, which has proven to be trouble for Ohio State in the past. they've just got to keep on rolling. That's the main part that Ohio State needs to keep doing.
I think Coach Day is definitely telling those boys, hey, look, in the past, something we haven't done is we haven't been able to just focus in on these games. Buckeyes can't look ahead here. It's something they struggle with in the past. So
they can't. Picking this game, I'm going to pick Ohio State to take the spread.
Yep.
The spread's 27.5. I think they will take the spread probably.
Yeah, I think Justin Fields in that offense is a little too good for that Northwestern defense to stick around.
Especially the way they've looked so far this year.
Yep.
All right, Saturday games. We're going to start off number 3, Clemson traveling to Louisville. This game is at 12 on ABC. Clemson is 24-point favorites to win this one, but you're going to tell us why you think Louisville has a good shot in this game.
Especially if I don't know if you guys watched that Tar Heel game in Clemson. Clemson struggled in that game. That's really the strongest opponent they've played all year. I know, shocking. But Louisville, this is a team, they're playing at home. They're rallied up, especially off of that ranked win against Wake Forest last week. Louisville, they also played pretty well against Notre Dame earlier in the season. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a loss here for Clemson.
They did, but one thing that sticks out for Louisville is that loss to Florida State, who has been kind of up and down this year. But I think definitely the part that gives Louisville the chance is that Clemson is not playing well,
and
Louisville is playing well, and they're at home as well. So I'm going to take Clemson, however, in this game. I don't think it'll be a 24-point game, though. I think Clemson will get this game by 2 touchdowns, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to take Clemson too, but I think this is a very close game, down to the wire. I'll take them by a touchdown here.
All right.
And then moving on, we have the Mountaineers of West Virginia traveling to Oklahoma to take on the Sooners. This game is at 12 o'clock Eastern on Fox. So let's talk about this one real quick.
Oklahoma looks impressive so far this year, of course, coming off that win to Texas, that 7-point win, but they really dominated that game. It wasn't just a 7-point game. They really felt like they instilled their will into Texas. But West Virginia has struggled a lot this year. They've been in a lot of close games so far. Jalen Hurts, of course, one of the Heisman candidates so far, coming off that transfer from Alabama. Of course, everyone's still talking about him, and he's still putting up good numbers, which is what he needs to do in his first year and his last year in college football.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Oklahoma last week, especially on defense. But, one thing with Jalen Hurts last week that I saw is he made a couple mistakes. Something that he can't do moving forward, especially playing big-time teams. Might not cost him here against West Virginia because I think they'll get the dub, especially being 33.5-point favorites here. I'm going to take Oklahoma. I'll take them big. But, I think Jalen Hurts needs to sharpen up those turnovers a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And, of course, every quarterback's bound to make mistakes. That's just how it goes. West Virginia, of course, 3-3 on the year. I'm going to take Oklahoma to win this game. I'm going to take the spread as well because Oklahoma's offense has looked deadly at times. Of course, the Texas Tech game. And their defense has looked good as well against Texas, of course, last week. So if they can put both sides of the ball to good use, they're definitely going to take the spread in this game.
Yeah, and then next up we have Wisconsin traveling on the road to take on the Illini. This game is at 12 o'clock. This one's on Big Ten Network. What are your thoughts on this one?
Wisconsin is favored by 31 points, I believe, to win this game, and I'm taking nothing less than that. I think Wisconsin wins big here, and Jonathan Taylor has instilled his will as a Heisman candidate, of course, one of the only running backs that's kind of being considered right now, and Wisconsin has just had a pretty solid season. Of course, they've beat some big opponents. Of course, Michigan, the main one to come to mind, as they just kind of ran all over Michigan when they came to Camp Randall.
Yeah.
And then, of course, beating Michigan State 38-0 last week. Coming off of 2 straight shutouts, Wisconsin is. And then the week before that, kind of a close game against Northwestern. But, their defenses look pretty good the past couple of weeks, and I don't think Illinois will give them a challenge.
Yeah, I'm here with you, but one thing for Wisconsin, what they can't do is look ahead because they have a huge game next week, as we know, against the Buckeyes. But I think they're able to dial it in and get this dub here on the road.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Are you taking the spread in this one?
I'll take the spread, yes.
Okay. All right, moving on. We have number 9, Florida, traveling to South Carolina. This game's at 12 p.m. on ESPN. Florida is only 5-point favorites, which is kind of surprising. Of course, South Carolina coming off that big win against Georgia last week.
Yeah. South Carolina, definitely a big win last week. They're at home this week, And as we know, kind of a trend in college football is once you get a big win, it's tough, especially playing another big team.
Definitely.
I don't think that they're able to get this one done. I think Florida comes out a little hungry after losing to LSU. I think they get back on page here. I think they beat the Gamecocks.
Definitely a big challenge for them will be defense coming off allowing 42 points to Burrow last week. But I'm going to take Florida to win this game. The Gamecocks coming off a big win where they had to play a tough game against Georgia the whole time. Definitely some mistakes late in the game. Nerves started to kick in definitely late in the game when they got close with Georgia. Their kicker missed a field goal in the first overtime, but they were still able to win it in the second overtime. There was just chance after chance for South Carolina to win that game, but they still ended up getting it done. They're 3-3, but I'm going to take Florida to take the spread on this one. I think 5 points is a little bit generous to South Carolina, as I don't know, they haven't really had a consistent season.
I agree.
Okay. All right, next up, we have number 11 Auburn traveling to Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas is 2-4 in the year, but one of their closer games to Texas A&M a couple weeks ago. This game is at 12 p.m. on the SEC Network. Auburn is 19.5-point favorites to beat Arkansas.
Yeah, I think this one will be pretty close. I wouldn't be surprised if it's close here. Auburn's not really a team that runs away with it too much, especially on the offense. They still kind of run a traditional style offense, especially under Bo Nix. But I'll take Auburn. I'll take the War Eagle in this one, but I think it'll be closer.
Yeah, I think Auburn wins this game as well. I don't think it'll be the spread either. I agree 100% with you about that offense that you just talked about.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix, who's been really inconsistent so far this year. Of course, he's had trouble at times, which is his main problem. But, Auburn, they always have a fighting chance, only one loss, so there's still definitely a chance for them to get in the college football playoff. But it really depends on what Arkansas team we see today or tomorrow. And it really depends on what Auburn team we see as well. But I'm going to take Auburn to win this game, but without the spread. Yep. Any other thoughts or no?
Nope. I think that's it.
Okay.
All right, and then we got Purdue traveling on the road to take on number 25 Iowa. This game is, or number 23 Iowa, excuse me. This game is at 12 o'clock on ESPN, and Iowa is a 17.5-point favorite here.
Yeah, Iowa coming off of 2 losses in a row, of course, to Michigan and Penn State, where their offense really cannot do much. I think this is a big game for Iowa. They need to kind of get their confidence back up. They need to start riding that wave a little bit more as well. Yeah. And they're big favorites here at home. They really need the home crowd to get behind them. But Purdue, coming off a big win against Maryland last week. Maryland, who has looked impressive at the beginning of the season, of course, 2 straight wins and big wins against Howard and Howard and Syracuse.
Syracuse, yes.
They lost their first game to Temple, and it's really been downhill since then.
Well, partner, I think you're thinking of Maryland, but...
Yeah, I was talking about Maryland.
Oh, you were talking about Maryland.
Yeah, I was talking about
Maryland.
Maryland.
Sorry, my bad.
About Purdue beating them big last week. Yes. But I'm going to take Iowa in this game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to take Iowa too, but I don't know if I'll take the spread because I don't know if Iowa can get 17.5 points on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. This is a Purdue team. I think they're fighting for some dignity here to try to get into a bowl game, especially with Tyler Trent. We know that whole story from last year, the kid who really had that cancer problem, and they were able to beat the Buckeyes rallying off that. Let's see if Purdue can get a win on the road.
Yeah, I'm going to take the spread in this one. I thought it was funny how you said they can't get 17.5 points. I definitely agree. Their offense has struggled so far this year, but I don't really know what to think of Purdue's defense. Of course, allowing only 14 points to Maryland.
Yeah.
Their offense who has struggled a lot. I don't really know what to think of that 14 points. It could be good or bad, but I'm going to take Iowa to win this game and the spread.
Okay.
All right, next up we have number 2 LSU, who jumped Ohio State and Clemson this week, to a lot of people's surprise. This starts the 3:30 segment of the day as they travel to Mississippi State. This game is on CBS. LSU is 17.5-point favorites to win this game.
One thing LSU can't do here is have kind of a downer game, especially after a big win against Florida at home. This one's on the road, but I think LSU, I'll take them in the spread. I think that offense is too deadly here for Mississippi State to stop.
Okay, I'm going to agree with that. Burrow's had a good year so far. He's had a really good year. as a Heisman candidate that he starts jumping up a little bit. Of course, big resume wins against Texas and last week against Florida. I'm going to take LSU to win this game big. Mississippi State at 3-3 has not been very impressive so far in the year. They've been in some close games, but I think LSU's offense is just too much to handle for them. I'm going to take LSU and the spread.
Okay.
And then moving on, this is probably the big game of the 3:30 segment. We have number 12 Oregon traveling to number 25 Washington, who gets back into the top 25. This game's at 3:30 on ABC. Oregon is just 3-point favorites to win this game.
Yeah, this is going to be a good game. This is a big Pac-12 matchup. Oregon trying to claim that top spot in the Pac-12, and they're going to have to prove themselves here on the road, traveling to Washington. Washington, a team that's kind of been up and down all year, able to move up into the top 25 again, but I don't know if they're able to hold that spot. Oregon, really on offense especially, we've kind of forgotten about them, especially after that loss to Auburn in the beginning of the season, but I don't think this is a team that you should forget about. They could very well sneak their way back up into maybe not the top 4 because it's such a competitive year, but they get back into the top 10 for sure and control the Pac-12.
Definitely.
But, yeah.
I'm going to take Oregon to win this game. I think they'll cover the spread. Real quick, Washington, by you saying them about you saying being them up and them being up and down. Sorry there, but coming off a good win against USC a couple of weeks ago, and then they ended up losing, and then they got another win last week against Arizona. Their loss was to Stanford, I believe. I don't really know what team we're going to see out of Washington. I'm kind of surprised they jumped back into the top 25 with how inconsistent they've been.
Yeah.
But Oregon, this is a statement game for them, of course. As Auburn continues to lose, their resume looks worse and worse.
Yeah.
Or as Auburn's offense continues to struggle, I guess.
Yeah.
As they really haven't continued to lose. But Oregon at number 12, I'll take them to take the spread.
Okay. Honestly, the Huskies are going to fight in this game, but I will take Oregon too. I think this is going to be a very close game. Definitely pay attention to this one.
I think this will be a good game. All right, we're going to pause real fast for a quick announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this video so far, please feel free to follow our Instagram and Twitter accounts. That's at the Timeout YT. We would also greatly appreciate it if you hit the subscribe and like button, hit that notification bell to find out when we upload, and comment down below to join the conversation. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're just going to jump right back into it with an American Conference matchup, as we have unranked Temple traveling to number 19 SMU. This game is at 3:30 on ESPN2. SMU is 7.5-point favorites to win this game.
Yeah, SMU, a team who continues to win games behind their powerhouse offense, but the story's been their defense has not really been that strong so far this season. Coming off a triple overtime win last week in a shootout, 43-37, but then they're taking on a Temple team who's kind of been the opposite and kind of rallied around their defense so far. And their biggest wins are against Maryland and last week against Memphis, of course. But this is a SMU team who's just been able to get wins. But, I'm going to take Temple in this game. I think that Temple is trending well, and I think they get it done here.
Yeah, one loss combined between these two teams. Of course, Temple's one loss came to a MAC opponent in Buffalo a couple weeks ago, but the two wins that stick out, they were against top 25 teams at the time, Maryland and Memphis. Of course, I don't know how good the Maryland game looks, as they've struggled the past couple weeks. But as you said, Temple's defense has ruled a lot of these games. That's how they've been winning games. And one loss combined between these two teams. This game will definitely be made up when you see SMU's offense on the field, as that will be definitely what determines the winner of this game.
Yeah.
But I think SMU will win this game. I don't think they'll cover the spread, but it'll be like a field goal game that'll decide this game.
Yeah, this is a big game for implications in the American Conference. Whoever wins this can kind of run the show with Cincinnati here.
Definitely. I think whichever team wins this game will be in the top 25 as well.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We have number 20 Minnesota, who is ranked for the first time as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Traveling to Rutgers. This game is at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network. Minnesota is 29-point favorites to win this game.
Yeah, this is a Minnesota team that's been very under the radar so far this season. And I think for good reason, because they haven't really played anybody so far. You could probably put most teams in their schedule and they'd be undefeated. But they're taking on a Rutgers team here who Rutgers has really struggled all season. For a while, like past 3 years, they've struggled. ever since they joined the Big Ten. So
Yeah.
I think Minnesota gets it done in this one, but I think that Minnesota definitely needs to prove their case to be ranked a little higher because they haven't really played anybody so far.
Yeah, this game is not really what's going to improve their case much unless they destroy Rutgers, which most teams in the Big Ten have done since they jumped in, which kind of confused me, honestly. I don't know why they moved Rutgers into the Big Ten. They haven't really been competitive ever since they came in.
I think Maryland offers something, but I don't think that Rutgers offers much.
They've been kind of a shape-up team, like they said in the long shot in 25. Just put your team against a team like Appalachian State and just go kill them, get your confidence up. But Appalachian State is ranked
State's
now.
not bad.
So we'll talk about them in a little bit. But I think Minnesota wins this game big. Yeah. On the road. Rutgers has been the team that everyone in the Big Ten has pushed around in the past.
Okay.
And I think Minnesota will have no problem getting this one done.
What's interesting is Minnesota might be able to sneak up into that number 1 spot in the Big Ten West, especially because Wisconsin has a big game next week. It'd be interesting to see if they can hold that number 1 spot not playing anybody. So
definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting for the Big Ten.
And then moving on, we have Tulsa on the road to take on the Bearcats at Cincinnati. This one's on at 3:30 on ESPNU, and the Bearcats here are a 17.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I think this game will be kind of close. Of course, both teams have had signature games. Of course, Tulsa took them 3 overtimes to get defeated by SMU last week. That was a close one. Of course, defense ruled that game a lot until the overtime period came around. But Cincinnati has jumped up into the top 25. Doesn't really surprise that many people, of course, coming off that win against UCF. Mm-hmm. I believe that was a couple weeks ago. But their only loss to Ohio State, that was a big loss, but they shut Ohio State's defense down to 42 points. They've been averaging more than that Ohio State's offense has so far this year. But Cincinnati, they're 5-1 in the year. I think they'll have no trouble with Tulsa. I think it'll be a 2-touchdown game, but not enough to cover the spread.
Yeah, Luke Fickell definitely got his boys in check after that Buckeye loss. Their defense has really been impressive these last couple weeks. They've been firing off the line faster than I can remember Cincinnati ever firing off the line, but they're really fired up. Luke Fickell's a defensive coach. They kind of have been struggling on offense, though, which is something that they need to get together if they want to win the American Conference, which I think they have a very good chance of this season. And they got to get it done at home this week against Tulsa, which I think they will. I think they cover the spread here.
Yeah, this game will definitely be dominated by defense, but Cincinnati's defense definitely probably has a heads up.
Yeah, I would say so.
Or a step up on Tulsa. I think they'll win this game as well. All right.
And then next up, we have Louisiana Monroe traveling to take on the Mountaineers of App State. This one's on ESPN Plus at 3:30, and the Mountaineers are a 15-point favorite here.
Of course, Appalachian State in the top 25. Of course, another team that I can't remember the last time they've been ranked was. Usually they get pushed around by these Power 5 teams, but this year they're undefeated, and of course their signature win was beating North Carolina 34-31 in North Carolina, and that game's relevant because they beat North Carolina by more than Clemson did.
Yeah.
And of course Appalachian State fans will say that that's a big meaning, as they should be ranked higher than Clemson because they beat North Carolina by more. But
yeah, this is a Sun Belt matchup. I can't remember the last time a Sun Belt had a team in the top 25. So
it's been a long time.
This is good for them.
Definitely.
And, yeah, I'm going to take the Mountaineers here. I think they do cover the spread. They're trending well, and they're undefeated. And I think they hope to stay that way.
I agree 100%. I think they'll cover the spread in this one and take the win against Louisiana Monroe. All right, next up we have number 18, Baylor, traveling to Oklahoma State, who's been up and down so far this year. This game is at 4 p.m. on Fox. Oklahoma State, however, is favored to win this game by 4 points.
Yeah, Baylor is another team kind of like Minnesota. They haven't really played anybody, so they've been under the radar. But Baylor is a team that keeps getting these wins, and this is an interesting game against Oklahoma State, who's been able to compete with Texas, but been kind of shaky and up and down team so far this year. I think this one will be a good one. I might take Oklahoma State here, especially since Baylor has not been battle tested, but Oklahoma State has, so I think they're more ready to in a big game like this, especially at home, to helping them out. I'll take Oklahoma State.
Of course, Oklahoma State's past 3 games have all been against ranked opponents. They're 1-2 against those games.
Yeah.
But the 2 ones that they lost, both 10 points or less were the difference. Of Of course, the Texas game losing by 6, and they lost by 10 last week to Texas Tech, who got killed by Oklahoma. But, Oklahoma State's schedule these past couple weeks have been hard. They've got more coming up as they have Iowa State and TCU next week. So there's a lot of chances for Oklahoma State to get wins, but it just depends on if they get them or not.
Yes.
But, Oklahoma State, I've been saying it all year. I think they definitely deserve to be higher in the rankings than people are putting them. Of course, now they're unranked. Coming off that loss, they were 21 But I think this team could be a top 15 team.
With at the end of the season,
yeah, with the caliber that they've played at on offense and on defense. But I'm going to pick Oklahoma State to win this game and cover the spread as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm here with you.
All right, moving on, we have number 22, Missouri, traveling to Vanderbilt. Of course, Vanderbilt is 1-5. Missouri's record is opposite at 5-1. This game is at 4 p.m. on the SEC Network, and Missouri is 21-point favorites to win this game, to no surprise.
Yeah. The Missouri, a team that hasn't really been in the top 25 for a while, too. But, they've won, as of lately, their only loss to, I believe...
Think about it for a sec. Their loss this year was to Wyoming in the first week of the season.
Yes, Wyoming. Of course.
They've won 5 straight coming after that, yeah.
Yes. They lost to a Wyoming team that's kind of weak, but after that, they won 5 straight, been able to get it done. To be honest, I don't really know much about Missouri, but I do know that Vanderbilt was able to rock some things on offense against LSU. So that was impressive for them.
Yeah, of course, they did give up 66 points to LSU, but, Vanderbilt's only win of the season was a 6-point win against Northern Illinois. Being in the ACC, I believe they're in, right? ACC?
Yes. SEC.
SEC.
Both these teams are in the SEC.
They're in the SEC, yes. That's my mistake there. But, being in the SEC, they kind of get kicked around every year. They're kind of like the Rutgers of the SEC.
Yeah.
Where they'll get ranked every once in a while, but it's really never close.
Well, I don't think they've been ranked in a while.
It's been, that's why I said every once in a while. But
yeah.
what I'm saying is, I think... Let's cut to the chase. Missouri wins this game.
Yeah.
And they cover the spread.
I mean, it might be closer. I don't know. Let's just forget about this game because we messed up so many times. Let's just act like this game never even happened. Probably don't even watch this game. It's probably not going to be a good one. Just forget about Missouri and Vanderbilt. We don't care about them.
All right. We still got to pick who you think is going to win.
Well, I'll take Missouri.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right, next up we have Kentucky traveling to number 10, Georgia. This game is at 6 p.m. on ESPN. Georgia's 25-point favorites to win this game.
Yeah, Georgia coming off that loss to South Carolina. I'm sure they're disappointed after that one. But, I think they get it done at home this week. I think they're a little bit angry after that, especially they had high hopes for this season trying to win an SEC championship, which they haven't been able to do in a while. But I think they get it done at home against the Wildcats.
Yeah, Georgia they were kind of rolling all year. Of course, that big win against Notre Dame sticks out. And then all of a sudden, South Carolina was just a roadblock for them that nobody really saw. And nobody was really picking South Carolina to even be close in that one.
Yeah.
But Kentucky, close game against Florida a couple weeks ago. I think this game could be a lot closer than people think. But it really depends on what Georgia team we see.
Yeah.
If they're affected by that that loss against South Carolina, then it could be a difficult game for Georgia fans to watch. But if they just kind of throw that off their shoulder and keep on rolling like they have the past couple of years, I think they'll win this game big. So
yeah, next up we have a Pac-12 matchup. We have ASU traveling to Utah. This one's on Pac-12 Network at 6 o'clock. Utah is a 13.5-point favorite. This is a big game for Pac-12 championship implications.
Yeah, both these teams ranked. Arizona State's kind of been in and out of the rankings so far this year. Of course, beating Michigan State a couple weeks ago. And then, this could be a good game for both teams. Of course, Utah coming off a big win against Oregon State. And then the week before, they beat Washington State. So Utah has been kind of bouncing around the win and loss column for a while, but they're always a good team when they play at home against Pac-12 teams. Of course, they only lost to USC by 7 earlier this year. But I'm going to pick Utah to win this game. I think this will be definitely a close game. But I'm going to pick Utah to win this game. And
Yeah.
I don't think they'll cover the spread, though.
Yeah, I'm surprised this one's only on Pac-12 Network, especially because I'm going to take the champion of this game. I think they go on to play Oregon in the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. And then...
yeah, it definitely surprised me that this game was not nationally televised because personally this is one that I might tune into if there's a couple of games that might not be going too well or might not be entertaining. But nonetheless, I think Utah takes this game.
Yeah. I'll take... I'll actually go... I'm rolling with ASU here.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Of course, Utah's been good at home these past couple of years.
Yeah.
All right, next up.
Then we have Kansas traveling to take on the Longhorns, coming off that loss to Oklahoma. This one's on at 7 o'clock. This starts our primetime games, and it is on LHN, Longhorn Network.
Yeah, not even nationally televised at all.
Yeah, Texas is a 21-point favorite.
Yeah, Texas has run into two very hot teams as their two losses so far this year. Of course, both those teams are sitting right now in the top 5 of the NCAA. But, winning those games for Texas, you really don't want to live in the past.
Yeah.
But those could have been big implications to get them into the college football playoff for the first time since the college football playoff was announced.
Yeah.
But, Kansas has kept it close with a couple teams so far this year. Of course, they lost by only 5 to West Virginia, who's got Oklahoma this week. Of course, we already previewed that game. But cutting the chase here, I think Texas wins this game and covers the spread with their heavy offense.
Yeah, I think that big thing for Texas here is they need to finish strong so they can get into maybe a New Year's Six Bowl again, finish off the season, because I think next year could be their year, especially with their quarterback returning. They have a lot of returning starters next year. I wouldn't be surprised if next year is the year for playoff hopes, but I know Texas fans are a little bit disappointed this year that they weren't able to get it done against Oklahoma and LSU. But I think they need to stick around and support their team this season because this is very important for them to finish off this season.
All right.
And I'll take them against Kansas.
Okay. Moving on, we have the primetime matchup of the day, 7:30 on ABC. We have a Big Ten matchup between number 16 Michigan and number 7 Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State is is 9-point favorites to win this game. Of course, both these teams have beat Iowa the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think the only chance for Michigan to win this game is to keep it low-scoring because I don't think their offense is going to put a lot of points on the board. But Michigan, I like the way they're trending. They've been winning these games the last couple of weeks, of course, against Rutgers and then Iowa 2 weeks ago against Iowa, and then last week they were able to get it done against the Illini. But and also Penn State, a team that's been trending very well too, but they kind of clash at a good time. I think we're going to get a good one here.
I think we will as well,
yeah.
But if you're someone who likes an offensive game, a high-scoring game, definitely not going to want to tune into this one. I think the only chance that Michigan has to win this game, of course, as you said, is their defense, of course, beating Iowa 10-3. They had to hold Iowa to 3 points just to win that by one score. But I'm going to take Penn State to win this game. I think they'll cover the spread as well because I think their offense is just too much for Michigan to handle and for Michigan's offense to keep up with.
Yeah, this game right here is very important for Coach Harbaugh. This game could get him back into the talk of national level, like top 10 kind of thing. But if he loses this game, it's just going to be same old Michigan. That's going to be the talk. So here's a big game for him. It's going to be tough, though. Night game, whiteout at the Nittany Lions at College Stadium. I'm going to take the Nittany Lions in a close one, but I think Michigan fights. And then we'll move on. All right. So
anything else to say about that game?
That's my last comment.
Okay.
So then we have Tennessee, 2-4, taking on number 1 Alabama. This game is on ESPN at 9 o'clock, and Alabama is rightfully a 34.5-point favorite here.
Yeah, definitely rightfully well said. Tennessee has struggled a lot so far this year. Of course, only having 2 wins in the year, one of their worst years in their program's history.
Yeah.
But, normally you'll see this game being a nationally broadcasted game, 3:30 on CBS.
Yeah.
Normally what you see with the SEC, but not this year. As 2 powerhouse teams from the past that are really kind of trending in different directions. Of course, Alabama with Tua Tagovailoa in the Heisman candidate race. as well. His team is 6-0 so far in the year, and of course Alabama to win this game, they can't look ahead. Of course, they have LSU in a couple weeks, which is probably going to be the biggest game of the college football season that we might see, which that has playoff hopes or playoff indications. Yeah, but I think Alabama wins this game. I don't think they'll cover the spread because I think the spread is a little bit high for any team to cover. But an SEC matchup, it could be close. Normally, in-conference matchups are closer than start of the year, but I'm going to take Alabama.
Yeah, this is a Tennessee team that's struggled for a while, especially under Butch Jones, who he's no longer there. I can't remember the last time this was a really hyped-up game. I think it was probably, Peyton Manning, early 2000s. Maybe. I think the last time Alabama-Tennessee was really hyped up.
Maybe Josh Dobbs, but even then they were top 20.
Yeah, but they... So this one's not nationally televised. That's the big story here because Tennessee's been kind of a shaky team all season. And then Alabama, not really shaky at all.
It kind of is nationally televised on ESPN.
Well, yeah.
It's not the ABC game.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the Crimson Tide. I think they definitely cover the spread. I think Tua gets a load on the Volunteers.
All right. And then our final game of the night. This one is the nightcap for all you people who like to watch football late. 10:15 on ESPN2. We have number 14 Boise State traveling to the BYU Bowl. Traveling to BYU. BYU's been a shaky team up and down this year. Boise State is 7-point favorites to win this game.
Yeah. So I think this one is a pretty good game in the Mountain West. BYU, a team that's been battle-tested so far this year, and a BSU team that has not been battle-tested. So I think the BYU Cougars, especially playing at home, give Boise State a run for their money here. And I think this is a big game for Boise State to show that they maybe belong in a New Year's Six Bowl. If they want to stay undefeated, this is a big game. I think this might be one of the biggest games for them in the Mountain West this year.
Yeah, even though BYU is 2-4, this definitely could be a statement game for Boise State. Of course, BYU beating USC and Tennessee this year, 2 Power 5 teams, but they have kind of struggled as well these late weeks. Of course, they lost by 4 to South Florida, and then they lost to Toledo by a touchdown. But Boise State being undefeated, of course, they're kind of like in that Minnesota conversation. They haven't really played any big teams yet. They are a Group of 5 team.
Still undefeated.
So you don't really expect them to play as big teams as the Power 5 teams do. But their biggest win was, of course, that comeback against Florida State. But I'm gonna take Boise State to win this game. I think they'll cover the spread as well.
Okay, well, BYU kind of an up and down team all year, but I think they're up at home. I think they beat Boise State here.
Interesting. Boise State, who's kind of taken over that spot in the top 25 as that UCF kind of team. That's a Group of 5, but they can really challenge a lot. I disagree with your opinion on this one 100%.
All right.
All right, of course, as we normally do on the show, we'll go through each time slot and pick out what game we think.
And then we'll talk about the Heisman contenders
as well. We'll talk. So, first off, we have Saturday at noon. There's a lot of ranked versus unranked teams in this one. I'm looking at the schedule. There's really not one game I could be hyped about. But the one I'm going to pick you should watch is number 3 Clemson traveling to Louisville. Of course, this game could be a good game with the way that Clemson and Louisville have both played in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the only top 25 game at 12 that I'll be tuning into. As you know, I kind of favored Louisville in this one to impress us, but I'll definitely tune into this game here. And then,
of course, the makings for a good game could be Florida and South Carolina coming off that big win at Georgia. But we were kind of on the same page. We don't think South Carolina continues.
Yeah, and then I think at 3:30, I think I'll take the Pac-12 matchup with Oregon traveling to Washington.
Could not agree more.
This is going to be a good game.
Yeah, this will definitely be a good game. Big implications for the Pac-12.
Yes.
Whoever from that side of the conference could get into the championship.
Yeah, I think if Washington wants to make a run, they're going to be putting high hopes on this game if they can make a run into maybe a New Year's Six bowl down the road if they can play good. But Oregon, a team trying to stay up in that, make a push to the top 10.
And Washington, who's been kind of up and down so far in these past couple weeks, it could be definitely depending on what Washington's team shows up on how close this game is and who wins this game.
Okay, and then moving on, what's your primetime game?
7:30 or the 7 time slot, the late afternoon time slot. The game I'm going to pick you should watch is, even though it's going to be a low-scoring game, the Michigan-Penn State game, I think it'll be a good one. Of course, a Big Ten matchup with big implications in the Eastern Division side of the Big Ten. Of course, Ohio State kind of ruined that conference, but it really depends on who wins this game and who can make a push for that second spot. And both these teams play Ohio State later in the year, so there is still definitely a chance for them to get to the top of the division and to the Big Ten championship. But I think it starts with this game. Penn State obviously has the edge so far.
Yeah.
Of course, being undefeated.
Yeah.
But Michigan's looked kind of shaky so far this year. Of course, their offense has not been playing well, and Penn State's has. So this will be a good one to watch. Low-scoring game, I think.
I'm gonna take an earlier afternoon game. I'll take that as my primetime game, but I'm also gonna suggest that people tune in to watch Baylor and Oklahoma State. I think this one has big implications for the Big 12 if Baylor wants to stay in kind of that top spot and maybe make a push towards the top 10 and get into that Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I agree. That will be a good game as well. Of course, Oklahoma State, I've always said about how I consider them a top 25 team. Whenever I see them on the schedule, if they're playing against a ranked team, I usually consider it a battle of two ranks.
And then to cap off the night, I suggest you guys watch Boise State and BYU. I think this will be a good one. As we know, we both chose different teams in this one. I'll be tuning into this one to cap off the night.
I'll be tuning into this one as well. I don't think the Alabama-Tennessee game will be very good.
No.
All right, going back, looking at the top 25, one team that you think could make a big push up in the rankings, and one team that you could see taking a nosedive.
So one team I see that could trend up is, I'm going to go with Oregon. I think they can run the show in the Pac-12. I think they could very well win out. And it'll be a discussion for the committee later down the road, especially depending on whether how well Auburn does in the SEC. I think Oregon could get back into that spot, maybe push for a top 4 spot.
All right. For me, the team I think could be trending up, I'm going to pick one team that isn't ranked right now, Oklahoma State, playing Baylor. That could be a big game for them if they win that.
Yeah,
but of course, the rule is pick a top 25 team you think will trend up. I think if Washington plays good against Oregon, I think if they get a big win against Oregon, we could definitely see them trending up in the top 25. Okay. And then the team I think we could see trending downward is Michigan. And their offense has not been playing well at all this year. Their defense has been able to keep them in games constantly. Of course, that 10-3 win against Iowa is a big example of that. But Penn State's offense has been a powerhouse so far this season, and I think they might be a little bit too much for Michigan to contain in this game tomorrow night. But I think if Michigan loses this game, I think we could see them trending down a lot.
Okay. I think a team I could see trending down, maybe Texas. I think it's important that they get this win here because, I don't know, they kind of struggled so far this season against big teams. So
yeah, but of course only 2 losses, both being against
very good teams. But yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Cap it off with the Heisman contenders.
I really don't think it's much different than it was the last time we did it. Of course, we have Tagovailoa, we have Burrow, Justin Fields,
and then
Jalen Hurts, and then Jonathan Taylor. That's basically my top 5.
I'm going to talk about this for a second. I think Burrow made a statement for number 1, especially after last week. Tagovailoa not really playing as well, and Hurts having those 2 interceptions and 2 turnovers against Texas and not playing as well against them. I think that Burrow made a case for number 1 last week against Florida.
I definitely agree. Of course, LSU's offense has been very good so far this year. Burrow could definitely see himself in that top 3 come end of the year, but it really just depends on consistency, which so far he's had. But of course, there's still another half of the season left to be played. I think definitely if I'm going to rank them at the bottom is Tagovailoa. Of course, Alabama, they have a good offense, yes, but I think they're really dominating it more with their running game, and he's not really a huge factor in the offensive production. And then Jonathan Taylor after that, I'm going to say. And then really it's a big scramble between the top three.
Yeah.
But right now I say at 3 is Jalen Hurts.
And
then number 2, Fields, and number 1, Burrow, which could be interesting come later in the year.
Yeah.
As Fields and Burrow are really close.
Yeah, and also I'm going to say something about this Alabama-LSU game that's coming up in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This game has national championship implications, and it also has Heisman implications. I think whoever stands out in that game could have a very good chance.
So many implications. That's going to be Heisman implications, college football playoff implications, and of course, whoever comes out of that division in the SEC, as both teams are undefeated right now.
SEC championship implications
they definitely, one of those teams still could be undefeated come the end of the season, depending on who wins this game, of course. Yeah. But any other thoughts before we cap it off in the episode?
I think that's it.
All right, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this week of the Timeout. Of course, we apologize again for not being on the air last week, as we weren't really available for last week's episode. But if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe, and of course, turn on that notification bell to find out when we post right away. And then if you want to join the conversation, you can leave a comment down below or at us on Twitter and Instagram. That's at the Timeout YT. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys.
Yeah, once again, thank you, and see you next week.
Yep, see you next week, guys.